If there's one thing Tesla owners love, it's owning a Tesla. Brand loyalty is a big, big deal. And turns out Tesla owners are still quite happy with their purchase, even sometime later, even enough to buy another one. Let's talk about how good that is, and let's do it with Randy Kirk. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Yeah, joining me as he does from time to time, the amazing Randy Kirk, best-selling author and, all around pretty okay guy, I guess.
Well, I keep trying to build my brand loyalty, Brian. That's the goal here is, you know, the brand loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you haven't been over to Randy Kirk's channel, I don't believe you. Check it out anyway. Give him a follow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be worth it. Let's see here. Interestingly, there's an article out that says Mazda is having some trouble, and they're saying that EVs are just not selling unless you're Tesla. What do you think of that? Does that sound right to you?
Well, I thought it was interesting that that wasn't the article that came out, say, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. It took a few folks, these reporters. I don't know what they do, in their spare time when they're not researching, because they never research anything that they do. But, initially, all the headlines for about 2 weeks were EVs are done, it's over, it's been fun, but are we going to have a dip? We're having this dip now in interest in EVs. And then all of a sudden, a couple of them actually did what they're paid to do. And now you're seeing a couple of headlines coming out that are saying, oh, yeah, Teslas are still selling just fine. It's just the rest of them that aren't selling.
If you've bought an EV in recent years and it's not a Tesla, there's a very real chance that your next car will not be an electric car at all, because the experience in a lot of these vehicles is not special, it's not great, and there are drawbacks. If you're able to charge at home every day, if your maximum commute is less than the range of your vehicle, you probably love your EV. But if you have to deal with Electrify America or EVgo or ChargePoint, you have a very different experience than a Tesla owner. And Tesla made a decision early on that they were going to invest in building a network of chargers because they really didn't exist in any kind of useful capacity. ChargePoint had free charging it at Walgreens and other places, but the amount of juice you could get in the amount of time they would allow it would only be enough to get you back home. That's not useful for a lot of applications. And if we're going to sell tens of thousands, tens of millions of cars, we need chargers. Brand loyalty remains strong. Why do you think Tesla's doing better than average in that department?
Well, I think you could start with the feel that you have when you first just get into the vehicle. You may or may not think that the exterior of the vehicle is special or unique, or you may like it, you may not like it, but it's when you get inside. Once you're inside it and you see this minimalistic look that like nothing you've ever seen before. And a lot of the other folks out there are thinking that people don't want that minimalistic look, so they're trying to keep a lot of the bells, the dials and buttons and things to twist and things to turn. They're trying to keep all that stuff going. But one of the things that just blew our minds when we got into the Tesla was just the sense of how it just disappeared. It's just, you've got your screen, which you're in front of a screen all day anyway. So that's kind of how your normal life is now. You've got a screen and you got a steering wheel, and that's about all you got. And that creates a certain sense of loyalty. It feels weird to get back into an old-fashioned vehicle that can't be run from the screen. It's just not the same.
Well, and the people saying, oh, but I want a million buttons and knobs. A lot of the vast majority of the buttons and knobs in a fancy car are ones that you almost never need. How often do you need to adjust your side mirrors?
Yes.
Especially with driver profiles, it's not an important thing. If you've got multiple drivers, have multiple profiles, and there you go. And for that matter, all of those buttons are only connected to a computer anyway, so all they are at that point is ornamental. If you really want extra buttons, you can buy extra buttons. You can get, the sexy buttons that you can program to do various things in the car. There are people who use them to turn off the rear seat climate control. There are people who use them to adjust the regen strength, all kinds of things. There's one younger gentleman I met at a show who has it set so it's the quick cops are looking at me button, which turns down the radio, lifts the air suspension up again so he doesn't look like he's got a low rider. It's all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, speaking of fun stuff, that's another element of, I think, of customer satisfaction that creates the brand loyalty. I mean, there is almost nothing. I take it over to I told the story already of the two old ladies that we are I guess they were middle aged, certainly compared to me, who we made friends with, right? Did I tell that story on this?
I don't
On your
think
channel?
so. Let me hear it.
Oh, yes. Well, I took the Model Y over to my oldest daughter's house, and she's got 4 teenage kids. And so I wanted to show them the light show. I showed them the light show, and they were really impressed with the light show. And then, of course, I thought they would probably be impressed with the fart capabilities. And so they were. But then I said, by the way, I can set this up to where if I honk the horn, we get that same noise. And they go, come on. So I, made my adjustment. I went to hit the horn, and my daughter, she says, see these two ladies walking down the road right now? They're kind of old fuddy-duds, and we don't know them, but we see them all the time. They don't even say hi. I said, whatever, and I hit the horn. These two gals doubled over laughing. They were just, they thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. And now they're good friends with my daughter and the family. They say hi all the time and have conversations. So the kind of fun, the fireplace, with the soft, warm breeze as you're watching the fire while you're cuddling with your honey. I don't know if you've ever experienced this one. You should try it sometime. This is really a crazy one. Most people never get this experience. But it's got a anti-theft thing that most people don't know about. If somebody tries to break into the car when they're not supposed to, and they get any success at all, the computer screen shuts down, it goes black, and then the music comes up, da, 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 and at full blast. And we were like, oh my gosh, because we weren't expecting this to happen when we accidentally set it off. I mean, there's so many fun things like that. It just goes on and on and on.
So if you want to build brand loyalty, one thing I guess you could do is make a car that keeps getting better. I'm sure you and I can agree we've never owned a car before Tesla, that got better after you bought it, unless you went out and spent some money doing something. I had a chance to speak with a gentleman over Thanksgiving. It was so much fun. He is a developer for one of the very big tech companies. You could look it up, but if I told you how to look it up, you might figure out which one he works for. I was asking him about V12. I was asking him end-to-end neural net, and the answers he gave me were very confusing, and I had difficulty wrapping my head around it. And I said, have you ever had a chance to drive in one of these cars while it drives itself? He said, no. I said, would you like to? And he said, yeah, of course. I said, would you like to right now? Oh, he lit up, and it was exciting. He got a chance to, and I was worried because in my town it doesn't work. But I wasn't in my town. I was in the city of SeaTac, where there is a plenty of good training data, and it did 4 or 5 different routes for us flawlessly. And he was blown away. He was not considering. He said, "Well, I'm thinking I'm going to wait for the Cybertruck because these are just so expensive." I said, "How expensive do you think they are?" He goes, 100. I go, no. With the federal credit, you're talking 45. He's like, what? That's an average car price. I said, yeah, and it's going to keep getting better while you own it.
So speaking of getting better, I don't know if you've announced this on your channel yet. It was just announced over the weekend. That little camera that you have up there on your mirror, I guess facing the cabin, I don't know exactly how much view it has, but that camera now, they filed the patent. So I think it'll be fairly soon that we'll get this upgrade. When you get into the car, it'll automatically see who you are and set up all your settings based on you as opposed to your spouse or whoever else might be driving the car. It will also check you out to find out, there was a bunch of other things. I'm trying to remember right now what they were. It will, if you are completely incapacitated, it will get you to the side of the road. It'll recognize that you're incapacitated and it will start to find a way to get you to someplace where it can park. Or if it thinks that you're in trouble, like you're possibly physically ill to the point where you might be dying, it will drive you to emergency.
That'd be wild. I've seen people suggest we have B-pillar cameras that should use facial recognition to know it's me. That would be nice. And the one we did see is an update that's already been rolled out. It looks for drowsiness and will give you warning saying, buddy, you look too tired to be in control right now, which is great. And of course, the skeptics pushed back and said, well, I know I'm tired. Right. You might need a reminder. And the fact that if the reminder wasn't there, people are going to complain about that too. We have the technology, just put it in there. Come on.
So I did hear somebody the other day suggest that Tesla could add one more feature to this device, and that would be that if you have put on a few extra pounds, it would not allow you to go into In-N-Out.
That's a great idea. That's one way to build brand loyalty, fatty. What a terrible idea. All right, well, Randy, I do want to thank you for coming and hanging out. Guys, why are you loyal to any brand? Any brand at all? Let us know in the comments. I'm very curious about that. It's exciting times. I did want to say a quick thanks to newest supporters on X, people who are paid to subscribe. Matt and Tom, thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's why I'm able to do things like go to Texas, like see Cybertrucks, like see museums, speak at Fully Charged in 3 different countries, and, feed my family. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but they apparently need food. It's weird. I swear I fed them yesterday, and here they are today. Daddy, where's dinner? It's very frustrating. What am I going to do? Feed them, I guess. Very frustrating. So what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Like, subscribe, do all the usual stuff. Leave some comments into them comments below. And stay tuned, stay juicy. And I can't wait to hear from you clever robots next time I trick Randy into hanging out with me.